Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, folks, and thank you once again for tuning in to another edition of True Conservative Radio. I'm your host, of course, the man they call Ghost, and I want to thank everyone who's tuning in with me once again on this Saturday evening. This evening, folks, we have pretty much of a free format on the agenda. That means anything goes. I didn't really feel like talking too much about politics because, as you folks have been keeping up with the program, know that the political world has pretty much disgusted me at this point. I mean, it's making me want to throw up chunks, if you know what I'm talking about out there. So I decided to go ahead and continue on with the regular scheduled program and just talk about anything and everything. And that's basically why I came on here this evening. And that's just how it's going to be, okay? Like I've stated previous, everybody already knows that I'm not voting for anybody, and I'm suggesting to true conservative folks that are out there, don't vote for anybody either. I mean, what for? You're getting social liberalism no matter which way you turn. And that's why I'm just saying screw it. I'm not going out there and voting for a social liberal who's just going to implement long-haired liberal bedwetting hippie agendas. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm telling you, folks, we are going into a new transition of a socialist, communist America, okay? Liberalism has won, folks. It's won hands down. As we can see, who's going to be nominated for president, it's either going to be Hillary Rotten Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, or John Turncoat McCain, and all these people are going to implement some sort of communist or socialist apparatus. More bureaucracy, more government in your faces. And nobody's talking about it. And I'm not really going to talk about it much either tonight, folks. As a matter of fact, it's a free format Saturday night. We'll be talking about whatever comes up. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So go ahead and get back to us. You know the number. All right, you folks know the number out there. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. If you want to tune in with us, if you want to call in and chime in, give us whatever your perspective is. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because let me tell you something, all the true conservatives that are out there, and I'm taking criticism for this on the BTR. As a matter of fact, that's where we're broadcasting from, the Blog Talk Radio Network. And you can get back to my page at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. That's GHOST. And I got a lot of people out here, specifically Republican pieces of trash, that are out here, doing shows dedicated to me, which is rather disgusting. I mean, you've got about 4 or 5, 6 different hosts out here that are Republicans, that are so-called Republicans, when I know damn well they're nothing but a bunch of social liberals. They know it, I know it, and whoever's a true conservative knows it too, so they can yank themselves out of the closet and stop trying to be some sort of Trojan horse. We already know your true agenda. You're a social liberal piece of trash. And if you were in front of me right now, I would stomp your teeth so far down your damn throat you'd be able to chew your own liberal ass, you piece of trash. And that's all there is to it. And this is why this is a free format Saturday, folks. I mean, who gives a crap about who's going to win, how many delegates there are? You got all these idiot bloggers out here. And let me tell you something. These idiot bloggers need to get off themselves, okay? And let me tell you something, these people know who I'm talking about out here. I'm talking about these nimrods that think that whatever they say is some sort of gospel of some sort, okay? I'm talking about all these pieces of trash. It's sad, folks. I'm a lifelong Republican. This is what I can't get across more to you, is that I'm a lifelong Republican. Okay, and to see this transition of just liberalism is just making me sick to my stomach. I mean, it's eating me right at the damn pit of my stomach. It's like a burning ulcer, it just won't go away. No matter how much milk you chug, milk of magnesia, no matter how much Peptid AC, it just keeps coming back up into your esophagus and making you want to puke up. That's what it's making me want to do. And I don't really know what to do about it, so you know what? I'm just going to talk about whatever there is to talk about at this point. Okay, I'm not going to talk about who's going to get the most delegates and all this ridiculous analytical mumbo-jumbo that means jack crap, because we're getting liberalism no matter what side you look at it. So I could really give a damn. So that's why this is free format Saturday night, folks. Hopefully you're out there and you have your vice right next to you and you're chilling with me, because I'm telling you, we are in mourning. If you are a true conservative, we are in mourning because we are a people without a party. We're a people without a party, so why even bother talking about all this political mumbo-jumbo when we know what's going on here? True conservatives, true conservative people. And as I look here, we're only 5 minutes into the show. I'm looking into the chat room. Once again, we see King Kong. How you doing there? We see Snorted. How you doing? Once again, these are Ron Paul supporters. Now, let me tell you something. I've been talking a lot of garbage about Ron Paul for a while here. I've been saying, he's been given the platform to spew his liberal propaganda, that sort of thing. I've been kind of upset with the Republicans for allowing Ron Paul to run under the Republican cloak, but at the same time, as I see that we have social liberalism completely infecting the Republican Party, Ron Paul, he doesn't look like that bad of an option as some sort of a protest vote. You know what I'm talking about? Because I refuse to vote for McCain. He is a piece of trash, and anybody who tries to logicize it in their head, anybody who tries to, comes to grips with it and balance on the balance beam, do whatever it takes to convince themselves that it's okay to vote for McCain, it's not okay to vote for McCain. Okay? And if you're going to vote for McCain, you need to stop calling yourself a Republican and put a liberal right next to your name, because that's exactly what you are. If you're voting for McCain, you're a damn liberal. I don't care what anybody tries to say about it. I don't care if people try to put party loyalty. I don't care if people try to say, do you want Hillary Rodham? Do you want Barack Hussein Obama? It doesn't matter, okay? John McCain goes against the conservative principles. In that ridiculous speech he gave at CPAC, he acknowledged it, he knows it, and anybody who's a true conservative knows it, and I think that anybody who's a real conservative that's trying to justify in their head to go out and make a blind vote for John McCain just to keep your loyalty to the party is going against your own principles and goes to show the strength of your backbone. And that's exactly right. And it makes me sick to my stomach that the Republican Party have turned into a bunch of liberals. And because this is exactly how liberals vote. Liberals don't care. They vote with blind eyes, for Christ's sake. It's like three blind mice. They go in, they cast their vote, they don't even know what the hell they're casting their vote for, but they're doing it and they actually believe in it, even though they don't know what they're doing. This is just mindless garbage. And I'm being criticized all over the place, folks. And I don't understand it. I'm as conservative gets, okay? I'm a foot soldier for the American family, okay? I believe in still saving the sanctity of the American family, and yet nobody even wants to talk about it. None of these piece of trash Republicans that are turning a blind eye and going into the ballot box and voting for John McCain is even talking about it. You want to know why they're not talking about it? Because they are submitting to social liberalism, and that's exactly what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do it, no matter how much these ridiculous piece of garbage, these Republicans out here try to convince me to do so. It's not going to happen. I'm a conservative, damn it. To sit over here and say, I'm going to have to go in and cast a vote for McCain, and I heard a lot of cracks about it. I've been patronizing all these Republican little shows and blogs and video shows and all this garbage. And all these people in the Republican side are trying to chuckle about it. They're like, I'm going to have to cast my vote for McCain and go have a few drinks and get drunk afterwards. What the hell kind of democracy is that, you morons? How are you going to go into the voting box and you have your nose pinched and going in there just to, stop the smell, the stench of liberalism coming out of the voting box after you place your vote for John McCain. I mean, how can you call yourself a conservative? How can you say you have any kind of a spine? How can you say, can you have any kind of a damn backbone, for Christ's sake? And how in the blue hell can you call yourself a conservative? How about that? Look at yourself in the mirror after you cast your vote for McCain and see if you can call yourself a conservative. If you do, then you're a damn liberal. You're a blind sheep that needs to be led around by the nose, and that's exactly what the Republican Party is doing to all of you Republicans that are bowing down to John McCain. All of them. All of them. And I'm sorry I have to say that to former fellow Republicans, because I'm a lifelong Republican, folks. But somebody needs to tell it how it is, okay? And there's a lot of Republicans out here that don't like it. They don't like it whatsoever. Do I want Hillary Rotten Clinton to be the president? Absolutely hell no. Do you think I want this disgusting bull dyke running the country with her finger on the button? Hell no, I don't want that. I do not want that. I don't want Barack Hussein Obama, which is a closet Marxist, to have his finger on the button either. But I will be damned. And I'm telling all you Republicans out here, I will be damned if I go into that voting box and vote for John McCain just because you idiots say so. Just because you idiot Republicans, which are now turning into blind communist subjects, because that's what you are. When you go into that voting box and vote for McCain, you're turning blinders on like these poor people in communism. People that live under communism are turning a blind eye to the atrocities. They're turning a blind eye to the oppression. They're turning a blind eye to what is wrong against humanity. That's exactly what you're doing as a Republican when you go in there and cast your vote for John McCain. It's ridiculous, man. And I don't understand why there's not more true conservatives talking about it. Now, I hear a lot of conservatives bickering. I hear a lot of conservatives sitting here saying, oh, well, I don't really like John McCain. I really wish we would have had Fred Thompson. I really wish we would have had Duncan Hunter and all the mumbo-jumbo. But the bottom line is they're going to get their wannabe conservative asses out of their boob tube area, off the couch, and they're going to go into the voting booth. They're going to vote McCain, and they are going to elect a new society where government is in our faces 24 hours a day. We're going to lose our national sovereignty. I don't understand why nobody's upset about this, like true American people. I don't understand why more people aren't upset at the fact that we may lose our American sovereignty when any of these candidates that are going to be nominated for the presidential candidacy, these people are going to give 20 million people amnesty. And I heard that garbage that, John McCain, he's trying to backtrack and talk out both sides of his mouth. He's trying to say, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to secure the border. That's what I'm going to do is secure the border. Well, that's great that you're going to secure the border now there, McCain. You couldn't do it in your little pissing ground nuclear waste dump of a state, Arizona. You couldn't do it over there, and now you think you're going to do it as president? Now, you're not going to do it. And if you do, let's say President or supposed President McCain, let's say he does build a wall. Let's say he does build it. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to encapsulate us with 20 million illegal immigrants that have devalued the cost of American labor. All right, and we're going to have to compete not only with all the industrious countries where the means of production have been exported to, and I'm talking about China, I'm talking about Mexico, I'm talking about any other countries that are out here that are competing in the world market, that are out here underbidding American labor because they're sitting out there being able to work 15 hours a day for 10, 15 cents an hour. How can the American compete with that? And on top of which, we got to sit here and compete with 20 million illegal immigrants that are devaluing the cost of labor. I mean, how's an American going to get by? They can't do it. It's not possible. It's absolutely not possible. So why aren't more people upset about it? I have no idea, but I think that everybody's going to sleep. In my view, I think everybody's going to sleep. Everybody's more worried about, everybody's worried about, staying loyal to the party and all this garbage. It's not about the party anymore, folks. It'd be a different story if I was being loyal to the party and the nominee was staying loyal to the root principles of what created it all. But they're not doing it, okay? Well, maybe the Democrats are doing it because they're blatant communists, but as far as the Republicans are concerned, they're not doing it. They're not continuing on with their conservative principles. And that's why I'm suggesting, for most true conservatives, don't vote. Why bother? Okay, why in the blue hell bother? Because I'm just sitting here wondering, what am I supposed to just turn a blind eye? That's what these Republicans aren't saying. They're just saying, hey, look, we don't want Hillary, so you need to vote for McCain. That's their whole substance to their debate for voting for McCain. That's their whole substance is, hey, well, do you want Hillary Clinton? Well, then you need to vote for McCain. That's their whole premise of why they're voting or why to stay loyal. That's their whole premise, and that just kind of negates any kind of true substance to the matter. They're negating the fact that this man's a blatant, semi-socialist. He's put more bureaucracy than anyone else I've ever seen. Just take a look at the bills that he's passed, and you will see what kind of a long-haired liberal bedwetting hippie he truly is. It's really scary to me, folks. I'm talking about on the domestic front with McCain, and let me tell you, it doesn't look any better on the left either, and I chastise anybody who's going to say I'm going to vote a supposed protest vote and vote for Hillary Rotten. If you're doing that, you're an absolute buffoonery. You might as well not even vote. All right? Exactly. You just need to bow down, and that's all there is to it. And you know what? I'm sitting here in the chat room, and Snordic was suggesting I should categorize this show under the politics conservative section, but no, I don't want to because, conservative on Blog Talk Radio means liberal Republican. That's what that means, social liberal Republican. A Republican that doesn't want to look at the issues, the substance, the credence of the matter. They're worried about party loyalty. They're going against their own principles. And once a people turns against their own principles, then what the hell are they? What exactly are they if they're turning against their own principles? They are sheep! They are sheep! And all of you people voting for McCain need to get that through your thick skull. You're a sheep! So go ahead and start meh, meh. Go ahead and start doing it because that's exactly what you are. You're a damn sheep. And I don't understand why all these Republicans are going to bow down against the principles that we used to be about. We used to be about principles. That's one thing Barack Hussein Obama had right in his statements, is that the Republican Party was the party of ideas. We were the party of ideas. Now we're the party of social liberalism. That's exactly what we're the party of. And I don't understand. For the life of me, I don't understand what's happening to the Republican Party. I always thought that everybody that was a Republican had some sort of, intellectual curiosity to themselves. They saw the world in a different way. It wasn't about, give me. It's what I can do to get. That's what the Republican was about. It was about what can I do to get it, not give me. And it seems like now the Republicans are turning into give me. Especially after the CPAC conference. This CPAC conference was an absolute joke. And you had bloggers out there, especially people from BTR out there, grabbing people from the Heritage Foundation, Save the Family, all these organizations, sitting them down and asking for their opinion. Who should the conservatives vote for? Who should the conservatives vote for? And what did these Nimrods say? Oh, I think they need to vote for John McCain. That's what they said. Anyway, folks, I know I've been hopping around all over my room over here just, screaming this garbage because I feel passion for this. A lot of people, you notice when they're saying go out and vote for McCain, all these Republicans, no matter who you listen to, no matter who you listen to, whether it's on the mainstream media, whether it's on the internet, no matter who you listen to, these Republicans that are forcing you to go out and vote for McCain, do they sound like they're talking with any passion? Hell no. Are they talking like they really mean what they say what they mean? Hell no, they're not. They're sheep. And if you're a sheep, well, by all means, go ahead and vote for McCain. Go ahead. Be a part of the sheeple. But if you're a true independent thinking American, a conservative American, then by God, make a right decision and understand that, it's better to stay home than to contribute to the socialism and communism that's going to be implemented in America. And that's what most of these dumbass Republicans that are out here chastising me. You got a lot of Republicans, and I'm a conservative, folks, and I was a lifelong Republican, too. I was a lifelong Republican until I realized that the Republicans were hijacked by a bunch of social liberals. Man, I'm telling you, I just don't even know where to start, where to begin, what to do. Anyway, folks, go ahead and give me a call if you have anything to chime in about. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. I wanted to introduce a new member to the True Conservative radio cast here. He's not going to be doing any talking or anything like that. He's actually running the switchboard because I'm sitting over here. Usually there's a whole gangload of calls to take. There's the lines are blown up. There's about 6, 7, 8, 10 people on the line here. I'm sitting over here blowing wind out of my hole over here, and I'm just negating what's happening on the switchboard. So I was able to get somebody who can control the switchboard for me. I taught him how to use it, and as a matter of fact, he's my neighbor. He's a liberal. And, yeah, he's a liberal, all right. I mean, he's one of those guys that just stays home and the wife is going out making all the money. Isn't that right, Paul? Anyway, folks, I wanted to introduce, I wanted to introduce everybody to Paul the Liberal. Paul the Liberal is going to be managing all the switchboard activities, and I'm going to be walking around this room I have dedicated to this show. I'm just going to be walking around the room, jumping up and down and screaming like I usually do, and we're going to have Paul the Liberal right here taking calls and checking the switchboard, maybe taking a look at the chat room, all that good stuff. So I wanted to give the opportunity for Paul the Liberal to say hi. So go ahead and say hi, Paul.
How you doing?
Well, that was Paul right there. And, Paul, hopefully you're going to, make things run a little bit smoother. Because let me tell you something. I mean, I only maybe take about 3 or 4 calls a night because I'm sitting here just screaming because I'm passionate about what I believe in. Hopefully you'll be able to do a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, folks, you know what the number is. Give me a call. This is a free format Saturday night. We're just sitting here chilling, talking about anything. The number to call is 646-652-4869 is the number to call. And like I said, it's a free format Saturday night. I don't really have any specific subject matter to talk about because I'm so upset at the fact. I am so upset at the fact that the Republican Party has been hijacked by social liberals and that all the Republicans, all these Republicans are all turning into communist subjects, and they should all be ashamed of themselves, honestly. Honestly. I mean, I remember a day when conservative Republicans had principle to themselves. You know what I'm saying? I remember a day when conservative Republicans they would not deviate from their principles, no matter what. No matter what. So I appeal to all the conservatives out there, do not vote for any of these pieces of trash. Do not vote for them. Now, if Ron Paul runs under a third-party ticket, I don't know. I mean, Ron Paul at this point, as much trash as I talked about him, he's starting to look like a damn viable option out here. I don't agree with his foreign policy, but look, let's put it this way, all right? If Hillary Rotten Clinton or Barack Hussein Obama gets elected president, we're jumping ship. We're tucking tail out of Iraq. We're tucking tail out of everywhere anyway. So if we're going to go ahead and tuck tail, why don't we tuck tail with somebody who's going to implement conservative values on the domestic front? And that's what I say about Ron Paul. Now, I don't know if obviously he's not going to win the Republican nomination, but if he was to run as some sort of third-party candidate, to me, he would be like that character. Do you remember that one movie with Richard Pryor? Richard Pryor was a classic, by the way. That one classic movie called Brewster's Millions. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen that movie, by all means, try to rent it, try to get it. It is the most funniest movie. It's a great movie. And let me tell you the synopsis of the movie. Richard Pryor is some minor league pitcher. He ends up getting an inheritance from a rich white uncle that he never knew he had. And the rich white uncle was somewhat of an eccentric. And he left in his will that, okay, if you want the money, what I'll do is I'll give you, was it 10 or 15 million right now up front. All right? Here's 10 or 15 million. He said, but in the will, Richard Pryor's uncle says, but if you want $300 million, you need to spend the 10 or 15 million that I'm giving you here initially. You need to spend it all, and then after you spend it all, you need to have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Just basically nothing to show for it. And then he'll get the $300 million. And that's the premise of the movie, folks. Anyway, one part of the movie, how he figures out how to spend most of this money, is getting into politics. He started burning money like crazy when he went into politics. And he wasn't going into politics because if he was to be elected, that would be gaining something from that $15 million. So he couldn't gain anything. He had to waste the $15 million to get the $300 million. So what did he say? He was, throwing campaigns, throwing big parties, having booze dispensed, food, the whole 9 yards. And what was he telling these people? He was saying, look, vote for none of the above. That's exactly what he was saying. He was saying, vote for none of the above. And that's exactly what I'm telling you, folks. All right, I mean, right now, I don't know if Ron Paul is going to make it certain that he's going to run under a third-party candidacy. But I'm not gonna make any assumptions until then. But right now, I ain't voting for any of these people. And any Republican that tries to convince you otherwise is a damn liberal, and they know it. No matter how they try to screw it up in their head, no matter how they try to, make it logical in their head to go out and vote for McCain, they're a social liberal. They're bound down to the social liberalism. That's what they're doing. They're going against their own principles. And if you go against your own principles, then by God, you are not a conservative, because conservatives don't go against their principles, folks. They're not going to do it. It sucks. It is a sad, sad day in America. Really sad day. I'm telling you, I mean, sometimes it's a little disheartening for me, I mean, sometimes I just want to say, you know what, I'm just going to give up. Why come online when you got nothing but a bunch of agitators? It was bad enough when I first came up on BTR and I was advocating conservative Republican radio. It was bad enough I had a bunch of long-haired liberal bedwetting hippies in here, utilizing the methods of agitation and throwing logical fallacies and personal attacks at me. It's a different story now that I've got Republicans out here doing the same damn thing that these people on the left are doing. And what's unfortunate is these Republicans are so dumb at this point. They've been so anesthetized with all this left-wing propaganda that they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know they're doing it. And that's what sucks about this, is that they're so dumbed down by all the propaganda that's been shoved down their face. They don't even know that they are submitting to social liberalism. I mean, wake up, folks! Give me a break. waxing your carrot, okay? Stop waxing your carrot. Wake up and understand that liberalism is taking effect, and that if you go out and vote for John McCain, you're going against your own principles, and that makes you nothing more than a cash soul. You're not even a soulless cash whore. At least soulless cash whores are getting paid. You're not even getting paid to go against your own principles. You're being told to do it, and you're willingly bowing down. That's what I'm saying. You're willingly bowing down. That's what you're doing. And for Snorted, I really appreciate you listening this evening. Thank you very much. But what's unfortunate is that most of these Republicans out here are bowing down to social liberalism. And let me tell you something, folks. If you are listening to me on somewhere else on the internet, this feed goes out, several different places. Get back to me right here at the chat room. You can join us at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. That's GHOST. And get back to me. Stop sitting over there, playing with your pecker shaft. Get on the chat room. Let us know what's going on. And if you're not going to do that, at least give us a call, 646-652-4869. Grow a pair and sound off. This is free format Saturday night. We're talking about anything you want to talk about. So let's hear you. If you're a left-wing, long-haired, liberal, bedwetting hippie that's a little upset at the fact that I hate you people, well, come on down. Bring them on. If you're a Republican that's, dedicating the show to me, can you believe this shit? Can you believe this crap? Excuse my French, folks, but it just makes me upset at the fact that you've got people, Republicans, not left-wingers, these are Republicans having, blog talk radio and podcast shows dedicated to me because I'm just simply standing up for my conservative principles. Can you believe that, folks? Do you think that this would have happened? Would you have thought this would have happened about 10 or 15 years ago? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And all these Republicans that are talking garbage at me in here, they don't have the balls. You notice that? They don't even have the balls to call me up and face me face to face. You know what they do? They have these little round table shows and get about 4 or 5 cheese whiz guzzling pieces of trailer trash to get on the microphone or get on this little broadcast out here and say, oh, that Ghosty's a dummy. That Ghosty's not Republican. That's what they say. That's what they do. No substance whatsoever. And let me tell you, all you Republicans that are out here voting against your own principles, you're pieces of trash, all of you. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you try to justify it in your head. You're a piece of trash. You're a liberal piece of trash going against your principles. And if you think that I'm wrong, well, call me up. Don't talk about me behind my back. Get on the phone and sound off like you got a pair if you think you got something there, boy. 646-652-4869. This is a free format Saturday night. We'll talk about anything, you piece of trash. Sick of all these people out here. It doesn't matter whether you're left or the right of the persuasion. Everybody's leaving conservative principles. And all I'm doing is trying to be a foot soldier for the American family. Is that so wrong, folks? The American family? Trying to save... No, you know what? I always say American family. I'm not just talking about the American family. I'm trying to save the world family. Because the family itself is becoming extinct, not only here in America, but it's becoming extinct all over the international community. If you check out all the westernized nations and compare the divorce rates from there to everybody else, you will see what's happening. You will see what's going on here. And it's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I don't understand why nobody else is getting upset about it. I don't understand why nobody else is sitting here and screaming, saying, hey, save the American family, folks. Save the American family. Nobody's saying it. Nobody's talking it. Nobody's trying to do it. And the reason nobody's trying to do it is because nobody has the balls to do it. That's why. And why don't anybody have the balls to do it? Because they don't do anything about it. They're more worried about getting their social liberal candidate in office. They don't care about the issues anymore. These people have submitted themselves to social liberalism, and if you're a Republican, if you don't agree with me, get on the phone and talk about it. Get on the phone and talk to me about it. If you think I'm lying, if you think I'm talking out my rocker, get on the phone and do something about it. But you're not going to do it. You Republicans aren't going to do it because you're no better than the people on the left. You'll talk about me on both sides of your mouth, but you won't talk about the issues. You won't talk about what's going on out here. You won't talk about the fact that the American family is being decimated. You won't talk about the fact that there's people out here that are becoming the social norm that are single-parent families. You don't want to talk about the fact that people are having divorces and changing divorces like dirty, crappy underwear. You don't want to talk about that. You're more worried about talking about, McCain has this many delegates and he may win the Republican nomination. You're not even talking about the issues, Republicans. Wake up, man. Wake up. Anyway, folks, this is Free Format Saturday night. I know everybody's probably listening to me, probably wondering why I'm going off the deep end and that sort of thing. It's because true conservative principles have been thrown down the toilet. All right? And I was the first one to talk about it, folks. You can go back into the archive, and I welcome all of you to go back into the archive and realize that I was talking about the split in the Republican Party before the mainstream media, before the Republicans themselves caught wind of it. And now that they're catching wind of it, they're trying to make people like me who foresaw all this before they did, they're trying to discredit me. They're trying to spread slanderous lies about me. They're trying to throw personal attacks at me. But let me tell you, I told you so. I told all you Republicans so before it even happened. And let it be known that I'm glad that this is archived. I'm glad that this is going down in internet history, because let me tell you, we are seeing a new transition of power, and that new transition of power is communism and socialism, no matter what party you vote for. No matter what damn party you vote for, folks. Anyway, it's 646-652-4869 is the number to call. And I don't know if Paul here is sniffing his finger or if we've got one. Do we have a call there, Paul?
Yeah.
All right, well, apparently we've got a call here, and we're just going to go ahead and patch it through. Hello, caller.
Hi, Ghost. It's Ozone.
Hey, how you doing, Ozone?
Pretty good. I hear you're calling all of us pieces of trash.
Man, hey, we're voting, Republicans are voting against their principles, my man.
Right. Well, you know, I have a couple of reasons that I would think that I would have to vote for McCain. The first one would be that, we have troops that are fighting in a mission in Iraq, and, to not vote and to let Hillary win or to let Obama win while they're right there right now fighting, I can't do that. McCain is going to, he's not perfect, but sometimes you have two bad choices. Believe me, I'm as angry as you, but I'm angry at the whole country for moving left. I'm angry for more Republicans not going out to vote because, most people didn't even vote. It's just a small percent of the population. I think your emotions are putting your anger to focus. A lot of conservatives are freaking very angry at McCain. We're all sick to the stomach. But, when there's troops in the field right now, in harm's way, what do you have to say? We have to think about that.
Well, I understand that McCain is probably going to be pretty hard when it comes to national defenses, and I'll give him his credit on that. But I refuse to be out at war and trying to implement democracy when we're going to lose democracy here in America. And I guarantee you, and it doesn't matter. I'm not saying the Democrats have any better plan, man. I'm not trying to advocate Democrats. I'm not like Ann Coulter out here saying that she's going to throw her vote to Hillary, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I just feel that the Republicans, at least before this election, I thought the Republicans had substance. I thought they meant what they said what they meant. I thought that they were going to sit here and basically live and die by the conservative principles, and it's obvious they're not. And it's not just a small sect of people that are doing this. I mean, I don't know if you were listening to that ridiculous Ed Morrissey's broadcast during the CPAC. He was out there on the ground taking guys, I think he took some guy from the Heritage Foundation, Save the Family Foundation, a whole bunch of conservative organizations. That's what CPAC is. And he was asking them, who do you think, or what do you think that the Republicans should do? And all of them said to vote for McCain. And I just think that's disgusting. These are people that are in organizations whose foundations is to conserve the conservative movement, to perpetuate conservative thought, to spread the conservative movement. And these people are saying we need to vote for McCain, a man who's completely against not only conservative values but Republican thought. And I agree with you that, we're in a time of war. We got troops on the ground out there. But, our troops are fighting for democracy. And to vote for McCain, he's not going to implement democracy, at least here in America. In my view, just take a look at his record. The man wants to put more regulation. The McCain-Feingold bill is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, he stated today that it needs to be more intensified, McCain-Feingold. And there's just no way I can vote for this man. Outside of the troops issue, why else would you vote for him, Ozone?
Well, you know what? I'm telling you, I'm sick. I'm very depressed right now that McCain is the nominee. Also, there's no question about it. But another point would be that Bush has said he's gonna sign and pass the amnesty. I mean, that's the guy we elected, and we had no problem voting for him. He's gonna sign the amnesty bill. He also increased social spending on social programs and welfare and all these programs by 25% over Clinton. I mean, if he was running, when he was running, he would say exactly what he was going to do, and he said we're going to raise spending on social spending by 25%. We would have also called him a liberal. He called it compassionate conservative, but we voted for him, and we got good and we got bad, but at least we didn't get all bad. I mean, we have to take emotion out, and we have to, whatever choices you have in life, you got to take from the best that you can choose from.
Okay, hold on. I think Paul's motioning that we have another caller. Do we have another caller here, or what are you doing?
I got a caller.
Okay, we got another caller here. We're going to take this call in, Ozone. Hold on a second.
Hey, what up, Ghost? This is King Kong.
Hey, we got King Kong and Ozone on the phone. How you doing? What's your insights there, King Kong?
Oh, I just heard Ozone state that, of course, he refuses to want to bring the troops home, and I think something along those lines. I just had to quickly call in from there, and I guess shot my stance on the issue, saying that the troops were never meant to go in the first place, and that's why. And of course, that's why we need a candidate to bring them home. However, the majority of all the presidential candidates, Democrat or Republican, don't want that. And if anything, they want to make the country worse. And as far as McCain goes, he's not. I can't even call him a neoconservative. All I can call him is a social liberal or a warmonger, one or the other. I mean, there's bad and there's worse with McCain.
Well, look, I'm for the war at this point, but I mean, at this point, we're losing democracy. This is supposed to be the seeds we're supposed to be sowing in the Middle East. And yet we don't really have it anymore. We're losing it day by day. And as we continue to elect more and more liberals, we're going to be continuing to lose our rights. As a matter of fact, we're going to lose our sovereignty once they give these 20 million illegal immigrants amnesty. And now, Ozone, I'll acknowledge I don't agree with Bush when he was going to sign that McCain-Kennedy bill. I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, too. He's Bush is actually exposing his social liberalism by giving amnesty to illegal immigrants, and McCain's right there with him, supporting the same issue. So, I mean, it's like there's bad and worse with this candidate.
But at least Bush was out there trying to sow the seeds of democracy. I mean, no matter what people say about Bush, I mean, nobody's out here being, taken away into secret prisons, or nobody's being put in concentration camps. Nobody's being told what to do, how to do it, and that sort of thing.
Officially happened yet? It's just sort of one of those puzzle pieces. It's just sort of coming together.
And this is what I'm afraid of with McCain here, because McCain, this is a guy who wants to throw regulation down. He's not too favorable for people to talk against him. I don't know if you've seen his hot head. I mean, if you disagree with the man, the guy will just completely go off the wazoo. And there's just a whole bunch. I mean, screw his temperament. So what? He's got a hot head, okay? The bottom line is that, you know, this man is, to me, he wants to rule with an iron fist. He wants to become a tyrant, not to other people. He doesn't want to go out and try to kick ass in the international community, even though he's saying it. I mean, maybe he will. But the bottom line is he's going to subjugate his own people with more regulation, more bureaucracy, and that's exactly what we don't need.
The problem is he's lying to the Republican Party when he says he's going to bring them together. Nobody in the Republican Party, with the exception of Huckabee, supports his views. And like I said, you know, I thought in the end it would be Huckabee having to drop out and support McCain, and that might still happen because all that Huckabee is getting is evangelical states. You know, but McCain's got more, of course, of the warmongering or the war veteran, as they call them, states. And like I said, that's the only thing that's empowering his view is the fact that he's got someone else still following him. But I mean, it's I guess improbable turnout between Huckabee and McCain right now in the nomination because they both have the same view and they're both getting a lot of winning primaries and caucuses.
Absolutely. Ozone, you want to chime in?
Yeah, well, I think McCain basically is locked. Huckabee is just, you know, for show right now. But you know what, about the immigration that Bush was going to sign, you know, the funny thing is that the Democrat Congress didn't even send it to him, which is what saved us.
Well, the reason they didn't send it to him is because they wanted all-out amnesty. I mean, what Bush was trying to do is trying to pledge some sort of workers program to where they'll work here for a certain amount of time and then eventually be sent home. I mean, well, that was his initial proposal, but he was going to sign McCain-Kennedy, which I'm glad it didn't, which was a similar bill to what Bush was, alluding to there in the beginning, McCain-Kennedy. He wanted a guest workers program to where people work here for so long, and if you lost your job, well, you went back to your country, that sort of thing. McCain-Kennedy, on the other hand, wanted to give these people amnesty, even though they called it, some other word, and it suggested in that bill that they could have their jobs, pay a fine, and stay here for the rest of their lives. And
the problem with McCain is he not only wants to give amnesty, he's practically opening the door and just sort of breaking down the wall that we're trying to build to keep these illegal immigrants out. He's telling them that if you want to go to war and help our soldiers out, I'll let you cross our border by any means necessary. And suit you up and let you go help us out fighting this war. And that's a definite problem because illegal immigration is what's overpopulating this country and it's killing the hell out of our economic system,
Well, it's really not a factor of overpopulation. It's a factor of devaluing the cost of labor. I mean, you've got people in here that are creating a black market for employment. And what the minimum wage is now, what did the Democrats raise it with, $5.75 or something?
I think it's much more than that.
What is it, $6 or something like that?
$7.
Oh, even more. I'll check it out right now. Let me look.
Yeah. Whatever it is, you've got illegal immigrants that will come in here and do half that. I mean, they will work for half that, $3, $4 an hour. And they'll do hard labor, and that's why you have industries like construction. You have industries like, painting. I mean, all that manual labor that was a necessity.
What you can tell makes, not just really both Bush and McCain social liberals on the issue is the fact that they're willing to. They're actually saying because they hate the fact when someone says it to their face like they're supposed to. Like Ron Paul has always stated that we need to secure our borders and gate them up and stop letting these illegal immigrants run across the borders because that's what's killing our economic status and. All that you hear from Bush and McCain, and you don't hear too much from Huckabee, but I know from at least McCain and Bush that we need to let them cross over and come help us out in this war. We need to cut them a break, let them get a job. If they lose their job, then they should go back. I mean, it's almost like like you said, they've lost every conservative principle, that they were ever stood for. And it took someone like Ron Paul to kick them in the ass and wake them up and tell them that these guys are illegal immigrants. They don't belong here. The first thing we should be doing is figuring out how to get them out.
Well,
we may take it may take us a little while to get the most of them out, but we need to focus on that first because that's what's killing our status right now economically.
Well, not only is it ruining the economic status of the average American family by devaluing the cost of labor, but it is ruining American sovereignty. And that means that people aren't really obliging themselves to the loyalty of the American way. You know, the whole Superman truth, justice, and the American way. There's no more American way anymore, in my view. I think that we are being deluded. We're having an influx of immigration that have just, and this is two influxes. The last one. Hello? Hello? Are you there, King Kong?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard a click off there. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, we've already had two bouts of immigration. All right, we had one bout of immigration during Reagan, and then we had another bout of immigration here currently. And if we give amnesty to this next 20 million, it'll just influx to another 20 million. And on top of which, even if McCain basically obliges himself and says, you know what, I'm going to secure the borders. That's the first thing I'm going to do. You know, that's what he said during the CPAC conference. He said the first thing that he was going to do was secure the borders, but he had made no mention of taking the people that are in here illegally, ruining the American dream for people that spilt blood for this country, devaluing the cost of labor. He said nothing about getting these people the hell out.
He spoke of just letting them stay and bringing more like them into the country.
Absolutely. And you know, what's disgusted me, and Ozone, are you still there?
I'm here, yes.
Did you happen to find out what the minimum wage is at this point?
Yeah, well, it's right now it's $5.85. It's going to $6.55 in 2008, and it's going to $7.25 in 2009. That's the
2008 now.
Other than that, the highest minimum wage is San Francisco with $9.
And you see, well, that's because they're living in half communism out there anyway. That's San Francisco, for Christ's sake. I mean, these are people that are handing out free needles to drug addicts, but that's besides the point. But the point is that you've got these illegal immigrants that are going to basically work for half that pay. You know, $5.85, they'll work for half of that because first of all, they're in the country illegally. So they're creating a black market for employment. And anytime you have a black market, you're going to be able to have a product to sell. And
Bush has always been aware of this. He's never did anything about it. He just turned his head. That's what exposes the social liberalism in him is that he's looking the other way, and he's saying, well, let's let them come on in. And he knows what they're about. You know, that they're running into this country illegally, not getting, earning citizenship, and then they're at least trying to get, work other people's jobs for less money, and definitely kill the economic status that we're having. Not to mention with jobs. And making it harder for an actual American who actually has citizenship here, not necessarily had to earn it, but was born with it, and they're making it just that much harder for them. And like I said, that's my first problem with a lot of the economy and the economic status is because that people aren't thinking about the Americans that are the middle class Americans that work their ass off to just to get a half decent paycheck. Not to mention there are poor people who already live in this country that have enough trouble with jobs, and now we're trying to now we're allowing illegal immigrants to set in and take those jobs from those poor people. On top of that, take those jobs, make the paycheck harder to earn for the middle class, and just totally complicate things just 10 times more.
Well, you know something, I'd like to ask both of you a question since I've got you on the line. Ozone, you first, and then King Kong. I mean, what does the future hold for us if we have Hillary Rodham, Barack Hussein Obama, or John Turncoat McCain? Whoever's elected, whoever's the president, I mean, what do you think is going to happen to America domestically? Ozone.
Yeah, I think that, if Hillary wins, or if McCain wins, it's going to be 4 years, and I think we're going to have in 4 years a very conservative president. That's what's going to happen, I think. That we're going to go through a hard time, that things are not going to work, they're not going to get stuff done, no one's going to feel the relief, the healthcare prices are going to go up, college education prices will continue to go up, middle class will say they disappeared, but it's really that the college and healthcare is going out of reach, and then we're going to, and then we're going to have to vote conservative, hopefully, and we have to take control of the media and in Hollywood and get into colleges, and there's so much bias in what's being put out there that if we don't stop that, I mean, things can fall apart just like they are now, and we'll still go down. We have to get the message out and explain what's destroying healthcare and education, which is the fact that government's involved. They try to make it more affordable, and all they do is destroy it, and while they're destroying it, it becomes more expensive, more people can't afford, and then you need more government help.
You know, I mean, just to ask you a question on that, Ozone, don't you think that no matter who gets elected, like I stated previous, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, or John Turncoat McCain, don't you think that they would create so much bureaucracy? And, of course, they'll create bureaucracy in the facade of other bureaucracy. What I mean by that is that they're going to roll out incremental socialism or incremental communism. They're going to, continue on with these supposed, I think these stimulus packages are just going to be a thing of the future. Within a certain period of time, of course, until the economy finally cripples and collapses. But I think that, in my view, what's going to happen is if John Turncoat McCain or any of these people on the left get the nomination, they're going to, just hand out money. But they're going to create more bureaucracy around that. And I don't think we're ever going to have government outside of our lives ever again, in my view, because we're at an integral part in time. We're in the war. We have the war on terror, which is something that's definitely important. But at the same time, I mean, we're having all of our rights being stripped away from us under the guise of helping us. And I think that McCain obliges himself to that ideology, and of course we all know that the left does. I mean, if you and Ozone, you've said this too. If you compare anybody who's on the left and compare a speech by them and compare it to anybody who's of a communist persuasion like Castro or Hugo Chavez, it's a carbon copy. Now, the thing is that I don't understand how Republicans are going to turn a blind eye to McCain. And King Kong had suggested this yesterday, that McCain is one issue away from being a complete sold-out liberal. I mean, he's one issue away of being a complete liberal.
Oh, look, he's not gonna want to take back the tax cuts. Hillary will. Hillary says things like, "I want to take over the industry. I want their profits." She's really scary. When I vote for McCain, really, I'm not voting for McCain. I'm voting against Hillary. It's like either Hillary or not Hillary. That's the vote.
But you're not catching the point, though. Obama, Clinton, McCain are all about the same view. Even Huckabee, they all carry the same view. McCain, McCain, Obama, and Clinton or McCain are no different. In their. If you look at their voting record, you know their stances are no different. They just are on two different sides, speaking the same issue.
Well, we take the best of the shit that we can take.
That's what I'm saying. There's no best of the best. This is just if you're a Republican, support McCain. If you're a Democrat, support Hillary or Obama. I mean, they're about the same message. Because I don't know where people get the lesser of two evils deal from. They all support the same message. So,
exactly.
It doesn't matter what side of the ballot you're on. You're going to get the same thing. Because Obama, Clinton, Huckabee, McCain, either way you go with it, they're all Bush lovers. And I refuse to give any respect or any credit to Bush at this point, because I'm not going to bash Bush, as much as I would want to, I'm not going to bash him. I'm just going to say this, that we need somebody else. We really do. And the problem with it is we're not going to get somebody else. We're going to get another Bush, Democratic or Republican, if one of these four candidates gets in office. And that's why I'm supporting Paul, because supporting Paul is a true vote against Hillary Clinton, a true vote against John McCain, a true vote against Mike Huckabee, a true vote against Barack Obama. That's a true vote because that's the paleo conservative who is the only one who speaks directly about the issues, and who is the only one who has stood up to every conservative that has called him out, and to every conservative that has dropped out, because every time they call him out, he beats the shit out of them.
What do you have to say to that, Ozone?
Well, if the way our system of voting is, whether we like it or not, this is the system we have to use right now. We're not changing the system, and it's going to be Hillary, it's going to be the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee. If you don't vote for one of them, or you vote for Ron Paul, it's like non-voting, and it's like opening the door for Hillary. I mean, these liberals, you know,
it's not non-voting, because you keep saying it's like voting for Hillary. Hillary, McCain, Huckabee, Obama all want the same thing.
No, I don't. No, they don't. They don't.
Yes, they do. Hillary Clinton, I mean, in case you haven't seen her voting record, has supported the war since the beginning, since it started. She's funded it. She's agreed with Bush on every discussion on, you know, expanding the war or funding it and keeping the troops in for as long as they need to keep them in. You know, and she's fully behind McCain. She doesn't say this, you know, out to the public because you know how the media would dog you out if you actually admitted that you were lying. So of course she's using what you call code talk and telling everybody that, you know, she's opposed the war, but she wants to keep them in there, you know, keep them in the occupation until until 2014, 15, and there's a lot you can do up to that point, and Obama wants the same thing, and the only problem with him is he shoots himself in the foot by stating that he wants to expand it and bring aggressive diplomacy, which he actually believes is just gating up the borders around one country when he really knows more than likely he's going to send troops into all those different countries and start killing and, you know, and slaughtering like McCain wants to do. He acts just like McCain, you know, just as a Democrat. And like I said, these guys are all about the same thing. Their voting records prove it. Everything they say on. That's why I don't believe what the biased news channels always say. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, whatever.
I mean, the media is absolute political theatrics. I mean, that's
all it is for ratings.
And it's really sad that, you know, we're in the day and age of the Internet where you've got literally 1 million libraries at your fingertips, 1 million news outlets, more than that, obviously, but I'm just saying it figuratively because everybody, you know, has that.
But, I mean, that's what I'm saying. People are, instead of choosing to get up off your ass and at least try to do it, you know, educate yourself just a little bit on the issues of the presidential candidacy, you'd rather watch Fox News, you'd rather watch CNN or MSNBC and say that that's your research for the day, when all they want to do is lie to you and just get ratings. They don't care, you know, who wins. The hell, they support, you know, whoever the corporate media or the corporate interest tells them to support. You know, they don't have a true target. I mean, look at Ron Paul. If they even cared at all about giving everybody equal opportunity, Paul would have more airtime than he's getting. And right now, they don't want it. They don't want it at all.
With all due respect, there, King Kong, let me tell you something. Ron Paul has had a lot of airtime, in my view. And now you've heard me when I was making my Republican rants before I realized the Republicans have basically all submitted to social liberalism. Mm-hmm. I was actually critical of the Republican Party, allowing Ron Paul the forum to, say his isolationist rhetoric or non-interventionism rhetoric, whatever you want to view it as. And yet they would, basically deny true conservatives like Fred Thompson, Duncan Hunter, and this was an obvious attempt. And I've stated this, and people can look back in the archive. I've stated this. You know it, King Kong, and Ozone knows it. Anybody who's been listening to me knows it. I've been saying that there's been a separation in the Republican Party before this ridiculous mainstream media actually acknowledged it.
That's that's how I, of course, met you. Of course, when I first found your room on Pal Talk and everything. That's the main thing you were stating, of course, is that that the conservatives are being split. You know,
absolutely. And before we continue on with the conversation, I want to let everybody know that you can call in and chime in on anything that you hear here. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. It's a free format Saturday night. We're here with King Kong and Ozone. Ozone has a talk show here on BTR called Political Intervention. I think King Kong has a blog. You got a blog on the on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and say that.
YouTube.com, XKingKong62X.
All right, and let me tell you, if you have anything to chime in about, this is free format Saturday night, folks, True Conservative Radio. Call us up, 646-652-4869. I wanted to pose a question to both of you guys since I've got you on the line here. Granted, I've been chastised by everybody, and I heard your show today, Ozone. I heard you throw a couple of subliminal pop shots at me, which is all good. I understand that. But, what's wrong with folks that are true conservatives not voting? I mean, don't you agree? I mean, I've been chastised.
That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've been chastised by Republicans because I'm advocating true conservatives, and I'm talking true conservatives.
Well, see, because I was telling you, like I was saying last night, Ghost, I feel your pain because I'm all over the internet, you know, and not just the internet too. Hell, I walk through the actual real-time world and try to say it and try to speak about these so-called conservatives and how they stand for social liberal issues, thinking that everything is going to be, that everything's going to be about raising taxes or giving amnesty to illegal immigrants or expanding an unjust war, in my opinion, or screwing up, or making the foreign policy even worse. But what I've always been saying, to a lot of the so-called conservatives is that, I mean, if you just look at their voting record and just pay a little attention to what what they really stand for instead of what the media is getting on cam, then you know that they're practically lying just to get ratings on the TV. It's a whole different story when you try to educate yourself and find the facts for yourself, because it's obvious that these guys are lying to the people of the people on the media, and the media is just letting it happen. The corporate interest wants everybody to be lied to because they know that their people aren't going to get off their ass and do some research for a change.
Of course. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious, man. I mean, just look at what the media is doing here. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out here that utilize the mainstream media as a source for their news and information gathering, but that's intellectually lazy. And I think what most people need to do is they have the source of all information right in the comfort of their own home. That's the Internet. They need to do some research. They need to do some scouring. I mean, it takes about maybe 1 to 2 hours a night. You can do that at the end of your night after you've taken care of your family, you've gone to work and all that stuff. You need to go out there and understand that, hey, look, this isn't the good old America that we've come to know and love anymore. And I want to get a reaction from Ozone, because I know Ozone's a very conservative person. Ozone, do you actually believe that if John McCain was president, okay, granted, I'll give you the fact that he's pretty conservative when it comes to his foreign policy record. But when it comes to the economy, when it comes to government regulation, given his record, given all the votes that he's cast, given his past experiences, don't you believe that John McCain will try to do whatever it takes to implement more government bureaucracy to halt Americans' freedoms?
No, I don't.
You don't think so? And how do you base that? Go ahead.
Well, I've heard him talk for years about he wants to cut spending. I mean, that's not the Democrats. I mean, the other caller is bunching everyone together, but Obama is not McCain, and they're not the same. He talks about cutting spending. He talks about getting rid of all the porks and all the...
What I'm saying is that that's all he's doing is talking.
Hold on. Let Ozone finish there, King Kong, and then you go ahead and try.
Obama, you talk about Hillary and Iraq Hillary and McCain might be the same in Iraq. But Obama and McCain are not the same in Iraq. Obama's against it from the beginning. He's going to pull out as soon as he gets in, and McCain is not. And just for that reason alone, all the other reasons are important, but it's the same philosophy. But when we talk about the troops, it's clear. We can't leave the troops when they're fighting and risking their lives and giving up their lives and injuries for a mission. And most of them believe in the mission, that they're doing a good job and that they can succeed if they're given the chance. And to undercut them by not voting out of emotion for someone, it's just and it's many reasons. But with that point, you can really understand the reason why you have to vote.
But Ozone, with all due respect, my friend, I mean, by voting for John McCain will be defeating, and you. I mean, come on, Ozone, you have to know that this man has nothing to do with the Republican principles. I mean,
that about Bush too, with some of his policies. I mean, he cut taxes.
Well, the difference is that he was a conservative. I mean, at least he tried to show he was a conservative. He tried to initiate an amendment for gay marriage. He tried to do whatever it took to reverse Roe v. Wade. He put constructionist judges. I mean, he fulfilled his part of the conservative. At least the social conservative debt, in my view.
Well, I could step in on the Roe v. Wade thing, because I personally believe that while a lot of conservatives, I'm not either pro-life or pro-choice, but I believe, of course, even if a conservative is pro-life or pro-choice, that should always be left up to the states and not to the government. And I know, of course, they're trying to abolish Roe v. Wade is sort of kind of making that kind of stance one-sided. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, with all due respect, Ozone, I know what you're saying when it comes to fiscal responsibility, when it comes to Bush, although my debate to that would be, we were at a time of war, and on top of which, I mean, he did a lot of things for political gain, I mean, the social programs that you're talking about have a lot to do with seniors, have a lot to do with, people with getting their medications and that sort of thing.
Also, because more people are entering these programs, that's increasing the cost just by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have to say to that is at least, going into the election, on both elections, the first and the second term of Bush, he acknowledged social conservatives. I mean, he understood that social conservatives were his base. He couldn't deviate from that. Here you've got John McCain being such a pompous ass, going right into the conference of CPAC out there and saying, you know what, we have our differences, but tough titty said the kitty, but the milk's still good. I mean, that's what he's saying, Ozone. I mean, how can you expect a real conservative to vote for this prostate-infected piece of trash, with all due respect? Go ahead.
Well, we have to understand that everything is relative. I mean, we can have an election if we had like Thompson, against a man like Thompson, Bush can run as a Democrat. And then we would all be like, oh, we can't have Bush, we need Thompson. Everything is relative. Right now, the country moved left. We have to try to push it right because people they're going to vote left. And we have a democracy. Each one person is 1 out of 300 million. We have to get the message out. The liberals are doing it in full force. And we have to do it. That's the only way in a democracy, unless you want to take over and force it, But
no, you know what? I mean, Ozone, I really agree with you on a lot of issues, man. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you with, holding your nose and going and voting for McCain. And I don't really blame you, Ozone. I mean, you're still, principle related. I listen to your show all the time. I mean, you're still staunch about what you believe in. But, I mean, I just cannot agree with the fact that all Republicans, and I'm a lifelong Republican, Ozone, I mean, I voted for them all. And, for the Republican Party to chastise me in groups, in masses, to sit over here and try to say that I'm some sort of a less of American because I don't want to vote for a social liberal is just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because what's happened is you sort of become an outcast because you're choosing not to take the lesser of two evils, or you're not choosing to take the better of both worst, I guess you could say, and you're choosing to stand on what I would consider true conservative principles, or I call paleo-conservative principles, and I'd do the same thing if Paul didn't make it. I'd say that, I mean, if people aren't going to listen to the truth when it's being given to them straight up, and not to mention, if you think Paul is lying, he has a voting record just like every one of the other candidates, and it's been the same issues every year, and he's got a 20-year voting record stating everything, and never flip-flopping on any issue, always stating, his stance is based on the Constitution and not flip-flopping like Mitt Romney or like Rudy Giuliani, and saying that after a certain point in time, I've decided I need to become, like with the issue of abortion, like at a certain point in time, I need to become pro-life. I know I've been pro-choice for, my whole life, but I decided I wanted to be pro-life because, at least just recently, because I've decided after, popular opinion, it's better to be pro-life. And I'm thinking that you can't just sit up and flip-flop all day, and expect people to still follow what you're saying. And what I like about Paul is he's always been about the same issues, and he's pro-life too, but he does not believe that that should be expanded amongst the entire country. He believes the states should have their own decisions. If the states, if the governors, if the public official or political officials of the states believe they should have abortion laws or anti-abortion laws, then let them have anti-abortion laws. But at least the states decided that, not the government.
And you know what?
Conservative movement.
I mean, to be honest with you, and like I've stated previous, and I've been calling that Ron Paul is going to run under a third-party candidacy, and I know that you stated here in the chat room, King Kong, that he stated today that he wasn't, but I think that he is. He's raised way too much money not to do so. But I would suggest if this man runs under a third-party candidacy, I mean, I've stated to all the conservatives out there right now as we speak not to vote because, voting for any of these people are voting against your principles. And in my view, I know Ozone is taking a point to where, hey, look, I mean, we have troops out there. We need to vote for the troops. But in my view, I have ancestry, and myself included, that has served in the military, that fought the wars, that spilled blood for this country, and I feel that they spilt blood for this country to accord people the right to vote or the right people not to vote.
Right.
And, to sit
well, I mean,
here and
you're getting called a liberal, for not voting, and I'm telling people, no, I'm not a liberal or a Democrat at all. If I don't vote, I'm just following, the true conservative method. If Ron Paul does not win, and he's the only person I consider a true conservative on the Republican ballot, then I don't see any point in voting for anybody.
Ozone, you have anything to add?
Well, you know what? The thing is that on the Democrat side, when even though they're split and there's a huge anti-Hillary, they're just as split as us. You just don't hear about it. But when one of them wins, they're all going to rally around that one person, while us Republicans are like, no, we're not going to, out of principle, we're not going to vote, and then we're going to get a Democrat, and the damage going to be done is going to take us another 20 years to get out of. If we get McCain, there might be damage, but it will be less. Right now,
can I step in real fast?
Damage control.
Go ahead, King Kong. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Ozone, what you're still not catching on to is, like I've been saying for the past 10 to 20 minutes, is that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and John McCain, Mike Huckabee all want the same thing. If we don't vote and then one of them gets in office, it's just another Bush. It's just the same thing.
They're not
we had the last 8 years. And it's just
I wouldn't say that, King Kong. I mean, like I stated to Ozone previous, I understand that maybe Bush wasn't the most fiscal conservative. Well, I mean, but the man was he was a social conservative. I mean, he was the first president to initiate, an amendment to continue the sanctity of marriage.
But I was saying, when I'm basing, my stance on the fact that he has done more, he has had more liberal views than he has conservative views. And he has expanded government and raised taxes more than he has dropped them, which is not fiscally conservative, like you said, and that and that he's just wanting to screw up our economic system just that much more by allowing amnesty for illegal immigrants. And those are the key issues. Aside from the war, those are the key issues that everybody's going to be looking at. And just basing it, and of course he may have some conservative views like Duncan Hunter. I remember, when he was still in the running, I agree with him on the one view of immigration, that he actually gated up the borders and stopped talking about it and did something about it. And I said that is the one issue that I will agree with Duncan Hunter on. But I mean, at the same time,
Duncan Hunter had a lot of great issues, by the way. And before we continue on with the conversation, I want to let everybody who's out there listening. Give us a call right now, 646-652-4869. We're chilling here with Ozone from Political Intervention. We're chilling here with King Kong, and you can chime in on the conversation. This is Free Format Saturday. We're talking about basically the Republican Party out here. I mean, this is a conservative show. We've got King Kong, who's a Ron Paul supporter, Ozone, who's a conservative, who's basically holding his nose and who's going to go into the voting booth and vote John McCain, and I plead with him, I beg with him not to do so. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Right, well, look, the way I look at it, I mean, there's a lot of emotion going on, but this is the bottom line to me is just what I see in front of my face. It's either going to be a Democrat or it's going to be McCain, which is the worst choice for me, but is better than a Democrat.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying right there.
Wait, I'm not.
Hold on. Let Ozone finish there. Go ahead there, Ozone.
So, if that's the choice, it's either going to be Hillary, Obama, or McCain, and that's our choice. And we have a vote now. To not take advantage of our own opinion and just make a vote, those are the choices, and one of them is going to be. If we just have to make a choice, even though the choice we have is not a great choice for us. I think we just have to take advantage of our right to vote. That's what America's about. To tell people not to vote, it's kind of like the Sunni areas in Iraq when they told them not to vote, and then they didn't vote, and then what happened? None of their people got elected, and then the next election they all voted.
Well, the problem is all the people that if whether you vote or not, out of all these four candidates, you're going to get the same thing. There is no split as far as their agendas go. There is no split party. They support the same exact things.
Well, we're going to hear in the debates between Republicans and the Democrats the difference. If they sound the same, they sound the same.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. The Republican debates are just for ratings on the TV.
No,
what the true research is about, not only what they say in the debates, but also what they have stood for in the past 2 to 3 terms.
And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to John Turncoat McCain. I mean, this guy has basically put his Senate seat, in private business that he has no business in. To be honest with you, remember when he tried to regulate boxing? He obviously McCain-Feingold is unconstitutional and has financially retarded the Republican Party. You got McCain-Kennedy, McCain-Lieberman. I mean, all the bills with his name on it have radical extremist liberals on the same name, and I don't
can't stand his stance on the pork barrel spending. He's writing fat checks like Bush does, and funding it up too.
Look, after this show, I'm going to have to go and throw up because I'm trying to defend McCain. I understand you. But when you have two choices, I'm saying in the debates that come up when it's like Hillary against McCain or Obama against McCain in the debate, I think we're going to hear different things, and everyone's going to understand that there's two really kind of different, and they're not exactly the same. Maybe
listen, Ozone, I don't like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama any more than you do. I despise every one of them, and I probably despise McCain a lot more than anybody that's supporting anyone else.
No, you don't hate McCain more than I do there. I think McCain is a piece of trash. Now,
we can do a battle of the names.
Do I acknowledge the fact that he's a patriot for being in the Hanoi Hilton for 5-8 years, whatever it was? Look, thank you very much. I appreciate your service. But as far as you sitting here becoming a president based on your record, based on your history, the way I look at it is if you vote for anybody on the left, you're going to basically vote for something that's Mao Zedong communist. Mm-hmm. And if you vote for anything on the right, well, not anything. It's just going to be McCain at this point. Huckabee is just,
a supporter.
Yeah. I mean, Huckabee's just going in there for show, if you will. Yeah. But McCain is borderline socialist in my view, and I think that I know what Ozone's saying when it comes to, hey, we've got troops in Iraq. We've got troops in Afghanistan. We can't just abandon ship and let the left win political power. But at the same time, Ozone, and I pose this question to you again, if we allow McCain to go ahead and take office, not only is he going to go ahead and put emphasis on the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, he's going to expand the war, he's trying to spread democracy.
Take over half the damn globe with his warmongering.
Not only that. I mean, to me, I really don't care about that. What I care more about is that the whole reason why we went into Afghanistan and Iraq was to spread democracy, was to sow the seeds of democracy in the heart of the Middle East, so that these tyrants that are subjugating people in this part of the world won't subjugate these people with radical theocracy. But in my view at this point, if we nominate McCain, we are basically going to bow down to social liberalism. We're going to see more bureaucracy under a Republican than we've ever seen before. We're going to have more regulations on ourselves, more laws. With all due respect to McCain, he doesn't look very favorable to those who disagree with his politics and his views. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to silence those that talk against his political philosophy and that sort of thing.
Leader.
Absolutely. I'm not joking with this. So why am I going to vote for a man who's not going to, I mean, granted, he'll be out there, a maverick like he calls himself, out there kicking ass, taking names in the international community, but he is not sticking to the democratic principles that created this social experiment of America, this democracy. Now, I ask you, Ozone, I mean, is it worth electing a so-called Republican who's going to basically implement more bureaucracy, who's going to give amnesty to 20 million people? I mean, who's basically going to cripple democracy in the face of socialism or / communism and allow the war to progress? I thought the whole concept of us going to war was sowing the seeds of democracy. We can't sow the seeds of democracy if we don't have democracy here. Go ahead, Ozone.
Yeah, I think we still have democracy here, and I think we're not only sowing seeds over there. We're making democracy so that to create a peaceful, stable environment that's not a threat to us. As far as what was my other point? I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Go ahead, King Kong.
Oh, I mean, like I said, it's just my personal view, and I know, Ghost, we've talked about this a lot too, but I think we're more of a republic than we are of a democracy. On top of that, the democracy being spread in the Middle East isn't exactly an accomplished goal. I mean, I've seen all the articles, or not all the articles. I've seen a lot of the articles that the Middle Eastern leaders, the political leaders, are standing up and saying is that the U.S. occupation is attempting to try to and dominate their region with imperialism, and they call it, they're labeling it democracy because they want to intervene and of course tell the people of that region how they're going to do things and how it's going to make their country better. But I've seen I've read the articles, I've read the statements from the actual political leaders in the region saying that we don't want U.S. occupation. We can handle this on our own. We want to be individual. We want to be individualists. We want to run our region our way. We don't want to be told what to do. So, and like I said, we're all going to disagree on that issue. That, of course, of what we're spreading in the Middle East.
I got my thoughts back. First of all, I'll get to that in a second, but as far as democracy, the biggest threat to democracy is propaganda. That's what happens. Look what happens in other countries. Look at Castro. He was elected, and then he never left. Chavez, he was elected, saying, I'm going to take over industries, give to the poor, the rich are screwing you, and he got elected. Propaganda, this is happening, it's always going to happen. Just like the terrorists want to take over in Iraq, people want to take over here, and they'll get elected, they want power. We have to fight it, and we're losing a little bit here, and we got to keep fighting. Whoever's the best candidate is the best candidate. As far as in Iraq, all the Muslims are oppressed. In Saddam, in Iraq, everyone except for Saddam was oppressed. If you were the number 2 guy and you said, I don't want to work for you anymore, you're dead. Everyone is oppressed over there. So, and we're not forcing our way on them. If saying that you're going to be in control of the leaders of your government, if we say that people are going to be in control of who's leading their government, if that's pushing our way on them, then I say we push it, because all we're saying is that a country should be led by a government that is elected by the people. That's all we're saying.
They don't want to be told by someone else that doesn't belong in their country, how to run their government. I want to stop this debate right now, because that's schematics at this point. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, at this point, why we're in Iraq, why we're in Afghanistan is a moot point. I mean, we need to worry about what's going on in America. I think that America is falling into shambles. I think that we really need to put emphasis on what's going on in our government, what's going on with this bureaucracy that's being implemented more and more on the American people. It seems to me that it seems hard for the average American person to go out and make a living for their family anymore. And at the same time, you've got the social ills becoming the social norms. And I hate to keep harping on this, but I mean, in my view, I think that the American family was what created America. I mean, without the American family, you wouldn't have had people that had the intestinal fortitude back before the New World was founded to get on a boat. Okay, you got to think that people from England and the forefathers from Dutch and everyone across that side of the pond, before the New World was even settled, they came on a boat, a wooden boat, no navigation system, with the threat of sinking ships, with the threat of starvation, with the threat of scurvy. I mean, the whole 9 yards, being swept by a hurricane. They took all those risks to sail across the pond to come over here and settle. And what made them settle? It was the family. And in my view, we are seeing the systematic destruction of the American family. And once people don't have families anymore, what do they have to fight for? What do they have to live for? They don't have anything. They don't have nothing to fight for, and as a result, you're going to have an easier result to implement incremental socialism, incremental communism. And I think that's what we're seeing here, and I don't understand why more Republicans aren't talking about it, and it's making me sick to my stomach. See, but what a lot of Republicans aren't being exposed to enough or aren't being aware of is that the socialist movement of the Democrats is actually starting to succeed. They're starting to unite all the Republicans in having their same view.
Hey, I'm witnessing it, baby. I'm telling you right now. I'm having idiotic, imbecilic, Nimrodic buffooneries that are calling themselves Republicans that are having shows dedicated to me. I mean, how retarded is that? I mean, these are Republicans that used to talk about the issues. Remember that? Remember Republicans used to be a party about the issues? They used to be the party that had some sort of intellectual curiosity. And now you've got the Republican Party utilizing the same methods of agitation as those on the left. And that's what really upsets me.
And see, that's exactly what the Democrats are wanting. They're wanting to, I guess how you could say, subliminally unite all the Republicans into having the same view as the Democrats. So one of the Democrats, Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, can step up and say, "Well, look at me. I united the Republicans in having the same view that I have, which is socialism." And so look what I've done. This is why I should be president. And it's ridiculous because people, Ron Paul stands against this, and he's actually against socialism. He's against socialist movement. Which is what's killing our country. If anything, I'd consider socialism. What's that? I mean, I can consider socialism the corrupt version of, or like the predestination of communism. It's only going to progress as time goes by, and before you know it, we'll go from socialism to communism, and from communism to anarchy.
Well, I don't think we'll ever get to anarchy at this point.
Not this fast. I mean, it takes a long time for stuff like that to.
I really don't see it. I think that we're seeing a transition to where government is going to be in every part of our lives, and at some point, you're not even going to be able to go and use the bathroom in peace anymore without some government bureaucrat being there. Analyzing the color, weight, consistency of your stool sample.
Right, and I understand what you're saying, Ghost. That's what I'm saying. That is a socialist progressive movement that's being taken place right now in this time. And what I'm saying is, after 20 to 30 years, if that has evolved, it will start to slide. Start to become closer and closer like a communist state, where someone is going to then step up amongst the government and overthrow the government and say that I am the leader. I'm going to run this country, and I'm going to tell you what you can and can't do, and I'm going to use the government to to feed out all my property, or feed out all my stances. I'm going to tell them to put a camera in your bathroom so I can see what you're doing whenever you're in the bathroom.
I mean that's where we're headed, King Kong Ozone. In my view, at this point, I mean it goes to show you that all the methods of propaganda, which is the blogospheres, the mainstream media, and everywhere else anybody gets their news gathering, this has mesmerized all these people. Obviously, it doesn't take very much to mesmerize Nimrods on the left. Mm-hmm. I mean, these idiots, all you got to do is give them a government subsidy check and you got them in your pocket. But Republicans were a little different. I always thought Republicans were, just like Barack Hussein Obama said, I thought that the Republicans were the party of ideas. We were the party of intellectual curiosity. We were the party that had foresight, that understood about the place that the country needed to be directed in, and that sort of thing. And I think we've lost it. Now, I want to let everybody know out there that we're talking here with Ozone and King Kong here. If you want to chime in, if you want to go ahead and give us some of your political persuasion, give us a call. Right now, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. Give us a call. This is a free format Saturday night, and I really appreciate Ozone and King Kong for tuning in with me and having some interesting discussion. I thank you both, man.
Mm-hmm. No problem, man.
I wanted to pose a question to both of y'all once again. Now, we understand that there's a divisive issue going on with the Republican Party, conservatives against social liberals in the Republican Party. But I wanted to, basically emphasize more on what Ozone was suggesting to. He was suggesting that the fact that after everything's said and done with the Democratic Party, what's going to happen is they're going to be united no matter who their nominee is, and here we are, the Republican Party, kind of decimated. But, can you blame anybody else, Ozone, besides the Republican apparatus itself, for nominating such a social liberal piece of trash? With all due respect, I saw it. And anybody who's heard my show since the beginning knows that I was the one who saw the split in the Republican Party before anybody else said anything about it. And now it's mainstream media, and you've got Republicans trying to, play street sweeper. They're trying to sweep things under the rug, that nothing's happening and everything's okay. Stay loyal to the party. My question to you is that, do you really think the Democratic Party is going to be as mobile as you suggest it is? You have to look at the Democrats, and I've also been talking about them for a while. You have the Democrats splitting the country. They're throwing our country back 50 years in race relations, and I don't know how many years in gender relations. you know, and it's starting to break racial lines at this point. You ask African American women who they're voting for, it's split 50-50. Some of them are going to go for Obama, some of them are going to go for Clinton because of the woman thing. I mean, it's just a ridiculous divide, man. Race and gender. I mean, do you honestly think, Ozone, that the Democrats are going to be that much united? I mean, whoever's nominated, if Barack Hussein Obama's nominated, you're going to have every woman staying home. If Hillary Rotten Clinton is nominated, African Americans are going to have such a bad taste in their mouth, they're going to stay home, and they're going to encourage other ethnic minorities to stay home. I mean, do you really think that there's going to be any kind of dissension? I think that they're going both parties have the same problem.
No, I think the media is definitely not going to let that happen. They want the Democrat in office. They are going to make sure that the Democrats are riled up, and they're going to make all the Republicans feel horrible that we shouldn't even go to vote. And, you know, I think that's what's going to happen. As far as the election and why McCain is the leader, I mean, I was in shock. I mean, how can a guy that sponsored a bill that 80% of the country was opposed to, how can he get the nomination? And it's simple mathematics. If Huckabee wasn't in the race, Romney might be the candidate right now. So there's flaws in our voting system. We need to have a different voting system. I say it's a 10-point system we should have, where you vote 10 for your first choice, and then you give 9, 8 to every other candidate. You give as many points as you think. If you don't want him at all, you give 0. So this way you can have an accurate picture of who wants who. I mean, someone might want McCain and Romney, but he wants McCain 1% more, so he votes McCain, and we don't know. You know, so it's basic mathematics right now. Our system is not designed to really calculate who really we want.
I think that McCain has done this, is basically, like Ghost has already spoken of in the past, has used the same methods as the liberals and not talked directly about the issues, and just sort of kind of skedaddle kind of around every social issue, and somehow convinced enough people to give him endorsements. And of course help out his campaigns. It's like he will talk out of both sides of his mouth on the war, then he'll talk out of both sides of his mouth on immigration, then he'll talk about on both sides of his mouth about fiscal conservatism, and it's like he's only given the public a piece of everything he stands for, like as if he's actually doing something, or convincing the public. He's not convincing the public of anything as far as I'm concerned.
Hold on there, King Kong. We got somebody else on the line right here from the 347 area code. You're on the air.
Yes, how you doing, Ghost? How you doing today?
How you doing?
Not bad. I had a question. Did you hear the speech that Hillary gave recently?
No, I didn't. What was the speech?
I forget what the name of the speech was, but she went to the podium, knocked it over, lifted up her skirt, and said, "Read my lips." No.
What an imbecile. And that's obviously that idiot Smokey. And this is what I'm talking about right here. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Some neurotic buffoonery that's, probably, of the left of the political persuasion, probably raised by his mammy. And this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I know that Smokey, he's called up here a couple of times, prank called and that sort of thing. I know he's a 20-year-old out of work. Well, actually, no, he delivers pizza for a living. I forgot. He delivers pizza. And the reason his name is Smokey is because the man is smoking, marijuana, the type of marijuana that was shoved up some illegal alien's ass crack just to get smuggled into this country. And then we wonder why,
It actually brings up a new topic.
I was about to say,
drug war.
And then we wonder why neurotic buffooneries like this, are having a hard time getting through life delivering pizza for a living. Anyway, that's besides the point. Sorry y'all had to hear that. Go ahead with the conversation. And Smokey, if you're listening, go sit on a G.I. Joe with a condom on it, you freak show. Go ahead.
Like I was saying, McCain is never, and of course, this is the funniest reason why he might be excellent representing the Republican Party right now, is because a lot of the Republican Party does not talk directly about any of the issues. They kind of nitpick at every issue. And then they start, I guess, how can I say, they start attacking the Democrats on the same issue, when really and truly they all agree on the same, stances that they have on it. They're just not talking directly about it. They're not calling out their voting records like they should be, and a lot of the people who are hosting these debates are on the Republican side are not calling out the voting records like they should be. They're not calling out that McCain flip-flopped, said he was for the Bush tax cut or against the Bush tax cut, now he's for them, and then on top of that, they're not calling out how he made his own immigration plan and now wants to vote against it.
I'm telling you, we already know about all this. We've been going round and round. I want to pose a new topic for you guys out here, okay? Now, at first, when Republicans were criticizing me, this is before I started telling people not to vote and all this garbage, people were criticizing me because I was wanting to emphasize the American family. To me, I'm a foot soldier for the American family. I think the American family is worth fighting for. What I don't understand is why I'm the bad guy, okay? And you two guys have been hearing You've been hearing my show for a while. What I want to know is why I'm the bad guy, because I want the American family to flourish in America, and I don't want to promote, people having 5 or 6, 7 different kids from 5 or 6, 7 different partners. I don't want people to go out and have 5 or 6, 7 different divorces and having that as a social norm. Why am I the bad guy? Because I don't want this. Can any of y'all chime in on that?
Because of the true conservative movement has lost its way, like you've always been saying.
And Ozone?
Well, the liberals' propaganda is working, and they don't appreciate, they're so safe and secure in this fantasy world called America that they don't appreciate the importance of the family, that it's the nest of the future of the country, that they need to be producers, they need to be law-abiding, and they need structure. And we see what happens with single-family homes with the kids, more dropout rate, more gangs, more repeat having kids with multiple partners. We see the result, and it's the family, they don't appreciate the importance of it. Those that don't have a strong family might appreciate it once they don't have one.
Absolutely, and this is why I'm such a staunch advocate for the American family, and not only the American family. I know I keep harping American family. I'm talking about the world family as well. I have a lot of listeners that are not just from the United States of America, but that are also from other parts of the international community. And this is how I know that, other westernized countries, a la Australia, Germany, other such westernized nations, they're having a real problem with liberalism and feminism infecting their society, and it's completely decimated the family in these regions. I know I've stated these statistics over and over and over again, but they need to be heard by folks that are out there. 75% of Australia's marriages end in divorce. 70% of Germany's marriages end in divorce. And the only thing that's keeping America at 50-50, okay? And remember, we created the westernized world. So, the only thing that's keeping the American marriage, the American family at a coin flip is the conservative movement. And in my view, just the way I'm seeing the political landscape out here, you're seeing, I'm sorry, Ozone, I know you're voting for McCain, but all these other Republicans, at least you haven't really criticized me that bad for not wanting to go vote. I've had other Republicans out here, and these are Republicans, not left-wing long hairs. These are Republicans stating that I need to be shot, I need to be hung, I'm spitting on the troops and all this crap because I don't want to vote for a social liberal. And I think that's the same logical fallacy, the same personal attacks, the same garbage that you hear from the left. Why is this, Ozone? Can you explain that to me? And King Kong, I pose this to both of y'all. Why are the right, and remember, these were supposed to be the Republicans, the party of ideas, and I believe that they were the party of ideas. I was a lifelong Republican, for Christ's sake. I'm not some idiot right now sitting on my thumb saying, yeah, I like Republicans. I was a lifelong Republican, for Christ's sake. And I don't understand why Republicans, and these aren't idiot people, these are people with, fairly decent intelligent levels. These people are chastising me, utilizing the same methods of propaganda, same methods of agitation as the left. Why is that? Anybody?
They don't. When people hear other sides that they don't want to hear, when they invest in a position and they hear someone else telling them they're wrong, they get angry. People get defensive. Also, it's the way sometimes if you approach them in a tough way, when you attack them in a rough way, automatically they put up defenses and they don't accept it. So
I mean, but this is the Republican Party, though. I mean, I expect methods of agitation from the left. As a matter of fact, I read some feminist liberal hate mail yesterday. I don't know if y'all, I mean, I know King Kong caught that, but, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I'm used to, death threats. I'm used to logical fallacies. I'm used to all this garbage from the left, but it's really breaking my heart. And not only is it breaking my heart, it's like stabbing me in the back after being a lifelong Republican. And let me tell you, I was out there campaigning. I was young. I was out there campaigning for Republicans. I mean, I did the volunteer work. I did what it had to do to elect Republicans at my state representative level, on the Senate level, on the congressional level. I mean, I don't understand why Republicans. And you see, this is where it goes back to me saying that the Republican Party has been hijacked by social liberals. And I hate to keep harping on it, but people need to get that through their damn thick skull. Stop watching the boob tube for your news gathering and your information. The bottom line is that we've got a bunch of social liberals that have hijacked the Republican Party. And I just don't understand what a true conservative is supposed to do. Now, I know you're saying, Ozone, you're going to go vote for McCain because of the troops. But my debate to that is, if you're going to vote for McCain for the troops and go against conservative principles, I mean, I think that you're defeating the whole principle of why we're at war. And the reason we're at war is to spread democracy throughout the Middle East so that we can nullify this terrorism, so that we can show people that are oppressed by tyrant regimes that are suppressing people with theocratic garbage. I mean, that's why we're out there, and I don't understand how we're going to perpetuate or continue to perpetuate the message of democracy if we're going to elect a borderline socialist or a communist on the left. Now, I pose the question to you one more time, Ozone. How could voting for McCain, who's a blatant, regulation guru, how is electing this man going to help democracy? How is electing this man going to help conservative principles? How is electing this man going to continue to perpetuate the ideals that the Republican Party stood for so long? Go ahead.
Well, I'm not for McCain, and it's gonna be damage control until we have another election. And the democracy means that the people vote, and if the people are idiots, then we have to freaking teach them. That's our only option. I mean, good, bad, what's right and wrong, it's not going to matter. We're going to all be socialists. We have to go and spread the message. We have to use the democracy. If everyone's freaking idiots, we're in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. We're going down, or we can spread the message. We have the facts and the truth.
Wait. So you admit that socialism is not only taking over the Republican Party, but socialism is the view that we need to have right now.
No, I'm saying that the candidate has very liberal views won based on an election that has 6 different candidates running at the same time. So the conservatives all split their vote. And McCain got the highest percentage. What do you get? 33%, 34%.
But that's what I'm saying. All of the majority, with the exception of Paul, of course, but all of the Republicans agree with McCain. And
no, they don't.
The ideology.
King Kong. I mean, and I don't mean to be defending these dumbass Republicans that have been chastising me, but for the most part, every time I've listened to their blogs, every time I've listened to their podcasts, their shows, I mean, they're reluctant. I mean, they talk a lot about, I heard one broadcast host say, I'm going to have to hold my nose to go in and vote for McCain. Mm-hmm. Another one suggested that he's going to go out and get liquored up after he does it because he couldn't believe what he's done.
Well,
you had another one.
Having with them, I can't stand, when Republicans say that they're just going to hold their nose, like John McCain's mother said that's what people would have to do to support McCain is hold their nose and hope for the best. And I'm tired of people saying that, not you, Ghost, but I'm tired of people actually believing that that's what's going to get this country to a better state. They believe that if you hold our nose and support McCain, maybe he'll come through. And that's not the case at all. If you don't want to vote for McCain, don't vote for him. If you don't believe any conservative candidate that's running right now is best for America, then just don't vote.
And that's what I'm suggesting, and yet I'm the bad guy. I'm having Blog Talk Radio, and that's exactly where we're broadcasting from, the Blog Talk Radio Network. I have people on Blog Talk Radio chastising me, spreading slanderous lies, personal attacks about me, and these are Republicans. I wouldn't care if it was left-wing long hairs. As a matter of fact, it would make me chuckle. But, I mean, it burns me at the pit of my stomach to hear Republicans chastise me because I am standing by my conservative principles. Now, I mean, you know, Ozone, you know, has been the only one that's been, you know, kind of light on me. I mean, he doesn't agree with the fact that I want to stay home, and I'm suggesting other true conservatives to stay home. But you've got other Republicans saying that I should be shot, I should be put in jail, I should be hung. I mean, this is the kind of crap that you hear from the people on the left when you disagree with them.
Ghost, I've heard everything from A to Z. I've heard people say that, I mean, that they're sickened by the fact that, of course, that they call themselves politically conservative because of me, and I've heard people say that they wish that they would just wish I'd go back to the liberal cave. What is it? The liberal I think hole that I came out of. I forgot how it goes.
Let me ask you a question. How does not voting, or how does voting for Ron Paul, who is 100% guaranteed not going to win, how does that help the country?
First off, it's not 100% guaranteed. You know, it's very possible for him to win. A lot of
9.99999.
Okay, I'll tell you why not voting helps the country, because those that have true conservative principles won't contribute to the desecration of this country. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't want to be someone who's going to be going down in history as voting for crippling America.
For holding your nose, yeah.
And what is America? America is the Constitution. What is America? America is the land of the free, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of every... I mean, I don't understand why people aren't sticking to this. I mean, less government. That's what the Republicans used to stand for. Get government out of our lives. And yet you have Republicans now embracing more regulation on us, to oppress us,
and
to subjugate us.
Hold on, Ghost, let me ask you a question on that. He stated that, of course, I mean, I know he's not a Ron Paul supporter and thinks that he won't win, but if in case you've noticed, I mean, this isn't just on TV, but this is going on all through the Internet. A lot of people who hated Ron Paul, a lot of conservatives neoconservatives that couldn't stand Ron Paul had ended up dropping out. You know, we have Giuliani, the front runner before any of these primaries started, dropped out. We have Romney, who has won. I mean, he recently dropped out, but we have Romney, who has been winning about 4 or 5 different primaries, if not more, you know, in the recent past, you know, who dropped out.
But they don't want to
agree with Ron Paul. And then we have, of course, Fred Thompson, who was runner-up to being front runner before the primary started, who ended up dropping out. So you see, all these other candidates that you consider better than Ron Paul all dropped out. So I mean,
they didn't want to.
Ron Paul's still here.
Ozone, go ahead.
They didn't want to split the vote. You see, when they say, oh, look, I'm not getting even where I thought I would do great, I'm not even winning over there, this is my best shot, and I didn't even win over here, I'm going to leave so that I don't skew the entire election even more. I'm not going to have 50 voting for me and throwing away their vote and then having McCain win with 25% because everyone else has 20%. So, you know, they didn't want to split the vote. Ron Paul, apparently, he's on his own mission. He doesn't, you know, and so he stayed in.
I mean, maybe it's just...
hold on just a second. We're almost at the end of the show. I'm going to give you guys about a minute apiece to go ahead and say your final piece and promote any shows, blogs, or anything that you got, because we're running out of time. So, Ozone, go ahead, and then King Kong, and then I'm going to go ahead and close the show out.
All right, thanks for having me, Ghost. It's political intervention. I don't really schedule the shows in advance, so the best thing to do is add me to your favorites. It's called Political Intervention, and that's it. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you next time, Ghost.
Thank you very much, Ozone. I appreciate you calling in. You have yourself a pleasant evening, my man.
And Ozone, I'd like you, of course, if you could, before you leave, post up your show time, because you say you don't actually have scheduled times. I'd love to come by and check out your show once in a while. And but I mean, lastly, what I wanted to leave out is I just don't think that certain Republicans are hearing me, and I include Ozone into this standpoint as well. That you know, we don't have, you know, a choice. We don't have a choice of Democrat or Republican. They're all the same. So you know, with the exception of Ron Paul, but you get the point there. You know, but we don't have a choice between Democrat and Republican. These guys all want the same agenda. So really, there isn't any debate there. You know, there isn't any argument there. They all want the same thing, and they all want to corrupt the country the same way. So it's obvious that, it doesn't matter who you vote for. So by not voting, it's showing that you have a clear, you're showing a clear and direct, stand up or front against the globalist agenda, or the, how can I put it, the socialist agenda that the Democrats and Republicans have been working together to spread. And that's what I believe, of course, like Ghost has stated, is happening in the Republican Party. But there is no Republican or Democrat at this point. If you're going to support one of those four candidates, they all want the same thing, and it won't make this country any better.
Absolutely.
So before I get off, I want to go ahead and advertise my channel, youtube.com/xkingkong62x. So you can check it out. I make videos as much as I can to at least update people about my stances on the issues, or at least present the issues or present the arguments. But I want to thank you for having me, Ghost. I got to work tomorrow, so I may not be here. You won't be able to catch me tomorrow, but I'll definitely be back on Friday again.
Well, you know what? I appreciate it, King Kong. Otherwise, I appreciate your patronage, and you're always welcome up here anytime you want to call.
All right.
All right, man. You have a pleasant evening.
You too.
All right, well, you know what, folks? It's about that time. We got 5 minutes left here in the Blog Talk Radio little talk time here. I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you hate me, whether you like me. It really doesn't matter. I appreciate your patronage. And once again, I wanted to encourage everybody, if you like what you hear up here, go ahead and go into the archive and check us out. The archive can be reached at www.blogtalkradio.com/ghost. That's GHOST. If you're ever bored, if you're ever up late at night, if you ever get, home late night and you're a little intoxicated, inebriated, whatever the case might be, get online at blogtalkradio.com/ghost and listen to the archives with me and have a bunch of laughs. It'll be great. And all that good stuff. But I wanted to leave everybody with this note right here. We all know that social liberals have taken over the Republican Party. It's a shame. I wish that people would wake up. I'm not talking about the people on the left, because the people on the left are so blinded by their propaganda, they're never going to see true Republican conservatism, okay? I mean, I shouldn't even say Republican, because Republicans are now basically bowing down to social liberalism, excuse me. And it's unfortunate. Now, I've been chastised by everybody, every Republican that's on BTR, and I've also had people write blogs about me. I'm all over the internet. I'm the big bad wolf out here, because I don't want to vote for any of these people. And any true conservative that's out there should agree with me. They shouldn't want to go out there and hold their nose and vote for John Turncoat McCain. They shouldn't want to do that. They should not want to do that. And all you people that are out here sticking a Kentucky Fried Chicken greased thumb up your anal passage to stop your anal leakage from happening from voting for John McCain, you people are a bunch of Nimrodic idiots, and you know it. You're going to vote against your principles? I mean, how dare you people? Anyway, folks, I just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in with me. We have great laughs. We have good times. You know what it's all about. Get back to me. If you're on MySpace, add me as one of your friends, and you can get back to me at myspace.com/ghostpolitics. That's all one word, no underscores, myspace.com/ghostpolitics. Get back to me and put me on your friends list. And if you have time, go ahead and post a bulletin out there. Let everybody know that there's some true conservatives out here that aren't taking any BS, that aren't falling for the social liberalism of the Republicans that are trying to shove this down our throat. It's true conservatism, folks. And like I said, I wanted to thank all of you for listening. Whether you agree with me or don't agree with me, it's your right, folks. It's your right not to agree with me. It's your right to agree with me. We have the freedom of thought here. Remember, we're still in America, the land of the free. And all I ask from each and every one of you, if you hear my show, and if you agree with something, if you disagree with something, perpetuate it. Perpetuate it, folks. I mean, we have a little share option here on the Blog Talk Radio player. Go ahead and email this show to somebody and tell them, hey, what do you think of this? If you don't have time to do that, why don't you bring up in conversation, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your friends, bring up in conversation, hey, I heard this the other day on this show. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Get a grasp of what people are saying, what people are thinking, what people are feeling, because that's the only way you're going to understand where our country is directed. It's very glib, folks. I'm telling you, it's very glib, and it's unfortunate. I'm here, like I said, folks, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 9 p.m. Central Time, and I encourage all of you, because let me tell you, I was the first one to talk about the split between the Republican Party. I was the first one to talk about it before any of these Republicans were trying to, play damage control. Trying to convince people, oh, you need to vote for this, you need to vote for that. I was the first one to suggest it, and I want all of you, if you could, if you're ever bored and you have time on your hands, go to my archive of all the shows I've ever done. Go to the archive at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. Go out there and chill out with us, have a few laughs with us, and that sort of thing. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me on another edition of True Conservative Radio. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your patronage, whether you like me or hate me. Get back to me on MySpace, folks. Get back to me on MySpace. MySpace.com/ghostpolitics. Get back to me. And I thank you all for listening. God bless America. Keep the American spirit alive. Long live the conservative movement, and death to feminism. And I'm out, folks. Thank you very much.
Boar's Head is bringing a slice of Japan to the deli. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Tender, slow-roasted chicken breast, coated in our signature teriyaki glaze, where ginger, garlic, and a hint of brown sugar meet for a flavor that's both sweet and savory. New Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. The bold flavor of Japan. Now at the deli. Only from Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere.